This is exactly right. Is it time?
I think it's time.
It's Minisode time?
It's Minisode time.
Hi, welcome to my favorite Murdy.
The Murdysode.
Oh no, the Murdysode.
My favorite Murdy. Hey, this is where you guys send us your hometown murders and we read them back to you. It's kind of like a practice in reading. It's like a reading exercise.
It's just a fun reading exercise because we both love to read aloud.
Yep.
Let me prove that now. My first murder, the subject line is, does that make me a murderer? Hi. My friend and I were on vacation a few months ago, sleeping in a stranger's house in rural Taiwan, thinking, man, it sure would be nice to listen to stories about being murdered right now. And it was, until we listened to episode 72, and I learned that I am related to a serial killer. The highway killer.
Oh my God, I want that experience so bad. What is wrong with me?
The highway killer, Larry Eiler, is my great second cousin or something, and I didn't have any idea until you told me. I grew up in Crawfordsville, Indiana, home of the murderer, and Eiler is my grandmother's maiden name. It's a very small place, so when I heard the episode, I texted my mom, and she was upsettingly casual about it.
They always are.
They always are. I was all, excuse me, this is all caps, excuse me, are we related to a serial killer? And she was all, what are you talking about? And I was all, I was just listening to a podcast about murderers, and they were talking about someone from Crawfordsville with the last name Eiler. How many can there be? And she was all, oh, you mean Cousin Larry?
Oh my God. Oh, that one.
She says, what is that? Who just Cousin Larry's when there's a homicidal maniac in your bloodline? So anyway, thanks for letting me know I'm genetically a serial killer. I'm coming to see you in Madison next week. Please try not to reveal any horrifying truths about my family this time. Stay sexy, Sarah. That's hilarious.
So I want no, I don't. I know I don't, but I want one of those, oh, this whole time, moments.
You thought one thing and then it actually turned out to be a totally different thing?
Yeah, like a puzzle being solved, you know, and you can see it in my actor's face that I'm slowly putting it together.
That's right. You look to the left for a little while, and then you look over to the right, kind of blinky. Oh, she's really discovering something.
Oh.
And you make that noise.
I watch too much TV. And then I realized I watched too much TV. Okay. My boyfriend almost voluntarily got us murdered. And then it says, lighthearted. Hi, Karen, Georgia, Stephen, and furry babies. Love your podcast. Can't wait to see you guys in Madison in October. So, fun story here. My boyfriend, not a murderino, almost voluntarily got us murdered. One night, the two of us were out at the bars, and it's around bar close, and I'm waiting outside of the bar for my boyfriend so we can take an Uber home. While I'm waiting, this girl comes up to me and compliments my shoes and walks away. Then my boyfriend joins me outside and comes back up and continues talking and complimenting my septum ring, as she has one too, and then leaves again. Don't ever talk to girls outside of bars who are weird like this. When my boyfriend and I walk past her car, she yells at us and asks, hey, we want to continue partying with her and her ex-boyfriend.
Two questions is not a party.
No. Yeah. This girl writes, absolutely not, for so many reasons. As I'm about to politely decline, my boyfriend goes, sure, and gets in the car. Who am I dating? I go ahead and get in her car against all of my better judgments, and we start driving away.
Oh my God.
Honey. As we're driving, she keeps saying weird little things like, it may seem like we're driving super far away, but we're really close, I promise.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. She didn't tell us her name, and then she goes, red flag number 7,500, 748. Blah, blah, blah. She kept asking us if we smoked the ganj.
Oh, narc. She's actually driving you to Quantico because she's an FBI agent.
And also told us she was 23, 1 year older than both of us, and she has 2 kids and an ex-husband.
Oh.
She also told us she saw us at a few bars while we were out, aka she was scoping us out to probably murder. Once we get closer to the house, she goes, oh, there's not really any furniture at this place because he just moved in. Okay, so we're literally probably breaking into a house. When we pull into an extremely sketchy house in an extremely sketchy neighborhood, she says, oh, you know what? He's not even home yet, but don't worry. I'm great at breaking into houses.
Girl.
Oh my God.
What is this?
When we walk up to the door, she asks us if we have any cell service way out here because she didn't. Manhattan. I figured we were probably going to get murdered there, and there's no turning back now. We get into this house with no furniture, but a really old tiny couch, and she walks upstairs and asks if we want to smoke the ganj up there. No, I do not. The house was empty, but filled with little toys on the floor, and there's only one light, and I immediately call an Uber and have cell service, thank God.
Thank God.
She comes back downstairs and keeps mentioning how weird this was and how sorry she is and how she's, quote, not a serial killer.
What?
She mentioned she is not a serial killer so many times that she definitely had to be one.
Yes.
I told her I called an Uber and we were about to leave, and she goes, how did they find your address all the way out here? And we just kind of bolted out and left. Once we got into the Uber, I immediately yelled at my boyfriend for not consulting with me before he got into a stranger's car. His reasoning for agreeing to go on with her is that he saw her talking to me and thought we knew each other when she literally only complimented my shoes. My boyfriend was the one that showed me to your podcast, and he doesn't even know how to stay sexy and not get murdered. I'm glad we made it out alive, but not sure what would have happened if her ex-husband was there. Hopefully this was an entertaining enough story to qualify as a hometown. SSDGM. Megan it was.
Megan, you highly qualified.
Man.
That was okay. That is a horror movie. Absolutely. Because normally, don't you think people do that? It's like you're inside drunk. You feel safe. There's tons of people around you.
Yeah.
You're with your boyfriend or whatever. And then there's somebody outside trying to pick people off who just spent the night drinking.
Yeah, they know that.
And they're like, yeah, let's party more.
And then they're like, yeah, we've been following you. That thing of like that realization that you're with someone you shouldn't be with.
Yes.
And you're in an enclosed space like a car with them and being like, oh no.
Yeah. Like you can't go back.
Yeah, you can. Tuck and roll. Open the door. Tuck and roll.
You can, what are things you can do to get people to pull a car over?
I'm going to vomit.
You could vomit. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pee yourself.
I'm going to vomit and then start to vomit. They will pull the car over.
That's true.
Then pop both of their tires and run the other direction. I don't know how you do that part.
And your mom's like, what are you doing? Karen, get back here. Why did you pop up my tires?
I'm running scenarios. Okay. This subject line of this one is my badminton murder. Dear Georgia, Karen, and Stephen, thanks for offering a podcast that not only confirms that my anxieties are not irrational, but also shares practical advice on how to stand up for yourself, look out for others, stay sexy, and not get murdered. Thanks. I went to high school in a small town outside of Madison, Wisconsin, your typical quiet place where no one would ever, etc. One day,
I love that.
One day I came home from school and my dad was reading a news article on his laptop. He turned the screen around and asked if I knew the guy in the photo from the article. I recognized him instantly. That's my badminton partner from gym class. What happened? In parentheses. Yeah, this is the type of high school I went to. We spent a full month of class playing badminton. You can draw your own conclusions about the general population of the area, which I actually can't.
I don't understand.
It's indicative of nothing to me.
I love it.
Is it a small group of British people that live in outside
they sound
Madison?
like well-rounded, like people of or is badminton trashy? I don't know.
I feel like she could either be saying I'm a billionaire or I'm
British.
Yeah. There's so many choices. Okay. So my dad tells me that this guy's suspected of a murder in Madison where a teenager was shot and killed on his break from work. Turns out my badminton partner was a known gang member, which was not a thing in this town, with a criminal record, but he had changed his name multiple times, and the name he used at school wasn't known by the police. To this day, they actually don't know which, if any, of his names is the real one.
What?
Then it gets weirder.
Oh my God.
Even though he was enrolled in high school as being 17, this guy was actually in his mid-20s.
What?
And pretending to be a teenage high school student. That's my favorite.
Dude,
That's my favorite.
The best.
I mean, oftentimes they have malicious intent when they do that. But just the idea of being like, fuck it, I'm trying this again. I get to do it again and see what happens.
You must have had a good time the first time around, because who the fuck would go back to high school?
I mean... Yeah, I can't. I get shivers when I drive by my old
We drove by mine yesterday and I was crying. Remember when I was screaming and crying?
Yes, that's right. And tearing at the windshield.
I was in the trunk, but that's not the only reason.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it turned out that he had been enrolled at a few different high schools in the area over the past several years, and every time he got to graduating age, he would switch schools and start over with a new name and a different age.
What a weirdo.
He must have had great skin, though. The news reports contained warnings that he was armed and extremely dangerous. There was a manhunt by police and U.S. Marshals to find him. There would be heightened security at my school until he was found. My dad is telling me this, and since my reaction is to feeling overwhelmed is to cry, I just start bawling. My dad stops and asks why I'm crying. I'm so overwhelmed. Someone is dead. My classmate is a murderer. U.S. Marshals are on a manhunt. I can't put my thoughts into words, so instead I say, sobbing heavily, but Dad, he was so good at badminton.
Oh my God.
2.5 years later, he was found out of the country, extradited back to the U.S., sentenced to 20 years for first-degree murder. My high school now requires proof of age for enrollment.
You think?
Jenny.
Wow.
But Dad...
He was so
You don't understand.
Oh, well, we could be eloquent all the time. Wouldn't that be nice?
It's difficult. We played badminton at my high school for gym. It was just one of the
So you know what badminton is?
Absolutely. It's just like, it's lighter tennis.
Oh,
it's
right.
just smaller, longer handled rackets.
Tell me this. Did you feel British when you were playing
Yes. I felt high class.
Okay.
Except for one time my partner,
Killed
did
someone.
a hit, no, and switched schools, and no, she went to hit, and somehow the racket came down, and I was wearing one of those really thin plastic goodie headbands. Remember those that were just like, they barely held my hair back anyway.
Yeah.
She went like that, and it just like shattered in 1,000 pieces. It was really hilarious. That's badminton.
Those are your memories from badminton.
That's badminton for me.
You should listen to the podcast Badminton Memories.
Also, we had to
great.
play it in front of the boys who, while the girl gym class was doing badminton, the boys lifted weights. So they were just like standing around lifting weights and watching us play badminton.
Sexism in society.
Oh, it's just,
It's everywhere.
it was a difficult time.
It's in PE. Support for today's show comes from HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes conquering the kitchen a reality with deliciously simple recipes and fresh, pre-measured ingredients delivered to your door. All meals come together in 30 minutes max, call for less than 2 pots and pans, and require minimal cleanup. Plus, with 3 plans to choose from, including classic, veggie, and family, there's something for everyone. So get out of that recipe rut and start cooking outside your comfort zone. This week, I'm making the hot honey chicken with barbecue roasted potatoes and buttery broccoli, and the melty Monterey Jack burgers with onion jam, garlic mayo, and crispy breaded zucchini, and I'm super excited about it. For $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/murder80 and enter the code murder80. That's HelloFresh.com/murder80. Enter code murder80 for $20 off your first 4 boxes. Goodbye. Okay, my grandma is ride or die as fuck. Is this? Hey, MFM crew. My best friend and I geek out over your podcast. I'm a Karen, she's a Georgia, every week, and we can't wait to see you ladies in Minneapolis next month.
Yay.
My grandma is a former biker wife with a treasure trove of outrageous stories.
Yes.
Up until recently, my personal fave was the one where she ran away to join a circus in order to avoid being kidnapped, as you do. Wow. Last summer, my family stumbled upon some documents outlining my grandparents' involvement in their neighbor's murder years ago, and that's when the ultimate grandma story was revealed. A long time ago, my grandpa hired a guy to kill a neighbor he had a vendetta with.
Whoa.
Long story short, after the killer did the deed, he panicked, fled the scene, and hid in a bush across the street. From her window, my grandma noticed him hiding, so she opened the door to her apartment and beckoned him inside. When the police showed up at her door later that day, Grandma proceeded to hide the killer, all caps, under my mother's crib.
Whoa.
Then threw a robe on over her clothes, mussed up her hair, and answered the door. Upon being asked if she had noticed any commotion that day, Grandma told police she hadn't seen anything because she'd been napping. Which would be true in my case. I'm not condoning murder by any means. Sounds like you are. Both Grandma and Grandpa ended up doing their time, but I do love the story and how it speaks to my grandma's loyalty and the wild, tumultuous life she's lived. She now spends her days watching unsolved mystery reruns and eating chili cheese burritos that she buys in bulk from Taco Bell.
Yes.
SSTGML.
Okay, she needs to write a book.
Immediately.
She needs to write a book.
Immediately. Email us at myfavouritemurder@gmail and send us your hilarious and tragic and weird and mostly hilarious hometown stories.
Yes. And stay sexy.
And don't get murdered.
Bye.